I don't want to cry. Okay. Watch this be the clip that we...
No, we're not. We're tasteful. We'll see. It depends. Layla Saleh, welcome to the show. So you're Palestinian.
I moved to the Maldives and Sri Lanka for about a year.
You've launched your own talent agency.
I wanted to be a writer. Every time a door was opened, Allah would slam it in my face. And then, subhanAllah, this podcast came from that.
You're obviously a podcaster, which is great. And it's between you and your dad. You've mentioned God a few times.
Yeah, I was born and raised a Sufi. I never saw my parents miss a prayer because I could never tell you I believe enough, or I've prayed enough, or I've been grateful enough.
What is a woman in 2025?
I have not been waiting 29 years for someone from the West to come define what a woman is.
Did your faith change after the events of the 7th of October?
The first and last word to come out of their mouth is Alhamdulillah.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Inside Track with me, Luca Allam. Today's guest is an outspoken yet very, very passionate podcaster. She also happens to have her own agency, running some of the best talent in the region. Her name is Layla Saleh. Welcome to the show.
So today's guest is no other than Layla Saleh. Layla is a content creator.
My dream for the longest time was to be a writer. Well, I became content editor. I started working for a publishing house here, but I was in the events department. Then I am a shell of myself. I am weak. And that hit me because I was like, how many times have I gotten what I prayed for? And I ruined it. Imagine the worst case scenario and accept it. And if you really understood what that meant, you would embrace hardship. في أغلاط لو انشقت الأرض نصين ما بنحكي. I feel sorry for you because you don't understand the value of what God is putting you through. Thank you for having me.
I always struggle with the intros. How do you know what to introduce someone as? Because they're getting defined already into a box, right?
I think I like to leave it to the person because it's interesting to see how others view you.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean it's true or mean it's wrong, but it's interesting to see, especially because being a public figure, you're prone to people's opinions of you or how they perceive you.
Yeah. How do you think people perceive you? Getting straight into it. Just without any cause for hesitation.
It's very split down the middle.
Okay.
I really think it's split down the middle. I think people either love me or hate me, but I think love and hate are also two sides of the same coin. It's because I either can be something that people were praying for or asking for in the sense of guidance or a rude awakening or just, Ya Rabbi, tell me what to do. Or the complete opposite where they're so attached to their demons and their demons control their lives that I trigger or, what's the word, Bismillah, scratch at a scab, that they're trying to just cover up.
Yeah.
So it's literally split down the middle. But how do people perceive you?
Well, I don't know. I tell you what, at the end of this episode, you can tell me and actually tell the people who are watching or listening what you and how you see me. I'd be very curious to know.
Okay.
So let's leave that for the end.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Marmite? Do you know what Marmite is?
Is it the Australian... No, I'm thinking of Vegemite.
Yeah, so Marmite is a bit. It's like it's a yeast extraction spread of some weird kind of variety.
Like Vegemite.
Yeah, it's like that, but it's the brand name is Marmite, and their slogan for the longest time was "You either love me or hate me." Right? And they came in a black jar.
So Marmite?
Layla, today you are Marmite. Guess what? I love Marmite. I used to have it as a kid all the time. It kept me going in the early years, especially when I didn't like English food so much. So I used to have a lot of bread with butter and occasionally a bit of Marmite. So I'm a big fan.
I might have to order me some Marmite and try it out.
And check out the segue. What does Marmite go well with? A nice cup of tea. What is this mug that you brought me? What's going on?
Okay, so I was asked to bring my favorite mug, and then this actually is genuinely my favorite mug in the world. So it's from Harry Potter because it's one of the few, if not the only book that I've read in English and French, and I've watched the movies. The first memory I have is going to the cinema with my dad in 2001 to watch Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
How old were you?
I was 6, 2001, I was 6.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
On my show, I also ask my guests if there's a question they don't feel comfortable in answering, they get a chance to defend themselves or hide away with a safe word. Do you have a safe word in mind?
So we said avocados because I hate avocados.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why do you hate avocados?
Astaghfirullah, I don't even like to say I hate a food, but I really do. I just have such an aversion towards them. They make me nauseous. I will literally become ill if I eat an avocado.
And that's like avocado in its purest form, guacamole, mix it with other stuff.
Anything.
In a burrito.
Never.
Really?
Never, never, never. I can't.
I love avocados.
You and everyone else, apparently.
And they're really good for you as well. There's actually, there's a restaurant called Lavo. Have you ever heard of this?
Here.
Yeah, in
Yeah, I
Dubai,
see it on.
All they have is avocado stuff. By the way, this episode is not sponsored by Lavo, but it's pretty good. Check it out. They have everything on the menu is basically avocado.
I can't do it.
Okay, khalas. So your safe word is avocado.
Inshallah.
Noted. You grew up between Saudi and Jordan. Is that right?
Yes, I was in Saudi Arabia until I was about, Bismillah, 11, 12.
Okay.
And then I moved to Jordan for about 10 years.
Okay. And then you did a little bit of a stint in the Maldives and Sri Lanka.
Yeah, I did.
What was that like?
It was really nice. After I graduated high school, I wasn't ready for university. It was just a lot of upheavals in my life personally. So I moved to the Maldives and Sri Lanka for about a year. I wanted to be a writer.
Okay.
So that's what I did.
And you then had a kind of corporate career, right?
So when I started off there, I was in the events
Yeah.
department.
Yeah.
And I used to do the awards ceremonies. So Time Out Restaurant Awards, GQ Awards, all the luxury consumer brands. So Harper's, Esquire, all of them.
You've launched your own talent agency where you basically help influencers grow their audience base, make more money, and you help them shine. But initially, the plan was for you to shine yourself, right? You were set to become that star, and it ended up being, correct me if I'm wrong, you being the engine behind the stars.
And not when I launched my so before I launched my agency, yeah, I had those dreams of, because I love makeup, or I really loved makeup. I used to watch makeup tutorials and all of that stuff. And I couldn't even afford a palette when I first moved here. When a makeup palette costs about 250 dirhams at Sephora. And I remember saving, genuinely, it sounds dramatic, but for months just to go buy a palette. And the first palette I bought, I gifted my mother. So I thought, okay, I could make a career out of this, because I used to watch the girls on YouTube. And so I tried and I tried and I tried. And every time a door was opened, Allah would slam it in my face. Khalas, I got a show, it would shut down. I got an opportunity, I'd be plucked right out of it. So I had resigned it between myself and I, that it wasn't written for me and it wasn't meant for me. And I needed to stop fighting it and breaking my own heart and just find another path. SubhanAllah, the agency came from that. And then SubhanAllah, this podcast came from that. But I'm very grateful that I'm spreading, or trying to spread, by the grace of God, positive messages and trying to better people's lives, and as a result, bettering my life this way rather than do makeup. And don't get me wrong, my girlies do makeup, my influencers do makeup on social media. God bless their souls, they're beautiful people, but it just wasn't meant for me, you know?
So you obviously, your podcast, which is great, it's called Conversations with My Conscience, and it's between you and your dad. So how did that all set up? And by the way, if you haven't liked and subscribed it, please like and subscribe.
The podcast happened genuinely by accident. We had a, long story short, because it can be a little nuanced, we had a meeting with Meta, a panel with a bunch of influencers about the shadow banning and the certain limitations when it came to all the political happenings that were happening since October 7 in Palestine. And they got on the stage, and I'm going to say God bless them, because they're Arabs and they really tried, and they're also in a pickle, tried to soothe us and put a bomb on how fired up everyone was. Because mind you, this was in November. So this was weeks into everything that was happening. And I just took the mic and I kind of gave them a piece of my mind. And I did, unbeknownst to me, completely forgot that I'm in a room full of influencers. And there's he's a journalist, Ismo Yusuf Omar, was filming me from the side, and he sent it to me and I posted it on my page and it went viral. And from that day, I had a few people, especially Sean from My Parents Are Divorced, that's his handle, go like, just the way you spoke, he's like, you could hear a pin drop in that room, Layla. Everyone was so focused on you. Just go into a studio and start filming.
Yeah.
So I called my baba and I told him what happened. He's like, yalla, book the session, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah. You've mentioned God a few times in either
Always.
English or in Arabic. So
Always.
religious content is very, very important to you. Why is that? Where's that coming from?
I used to shy away from the word religious. You know, they'd ask you, are you religious or are you spiritual? And you see people tend to
Go spiritual. It's safer to say.
It is safer to say.
Less
and then,
alienating.
Yeah. And also, for some reason, if you say religious, the radical is attached to it immediately. Even or being a zealot. Even if you say Christianity or Islam, they lean towards, oh, then you're one of those woo-woos. And I really fell for that, and I would say spiritual. And then one day I was like, what is wrong with me? Absolutely I'm religious, and absolutely I'm spiritual, and I believe in God, and I love all the Abrahamic religions and other religions. I just love people who believe in something bigger than themselves, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to humble yourself and just kind of go like, it's not me.
Yeah.
It's something else.
So, but did it come from your parents? Was it something that you grew up into as a household? Did something happen to you to sort of restore your faith? Or do you say, look around in the market and go, you know what? No one's really talking about things that actually matter to me. So let me use this as an angle, not an angle, but as a point of difference, or as an attack point into creating new content on areas that haven't yet been touched on.
It wasn't like that, if I'm being honest. Now, more so, yes. When I saw a hunger for it after I had started posting, and I really saw either, as I said in the beginning, a deep hatred or a deep hunger for it. And that fueled me even more. But initially, my dad is a Sufi. My mother is a Sufi. I was born and raised a Sufi. It was instilled in us at a very young age. I never saw my parents miss a prayer. Every other word would be Alhamdulillah, or just always giving the credit to something bigger than them. It was this humility that and I'm careful saying this word, that I almost envied, because I would see my parents, just anything that happens, Alhamdulillah, anything that goes wrong, we'll figure it out. And everything bad came from them, and everything good came from a higher power, which is Allah in our case. And I just loved it. Just that surrender and that letting go. And then I started witnessing the stark difference between that and the people who panic and get anxious and get depressed. And my soul immediately was like, no, I don't want that. I want the surrender. As hard as it is, that's what I want.
So you're Palestinian and proud. After 7th of October, which is strange, everyone always talks about just one date as a watershed. But let's not go into that particular point. But did your faith change after the events of the 7th of October and what's been happening since in Gaza and obviously the West Bank and even in Lebanon? Has your faith or your viewpoint in religion changed at all?
I want to say no, but maybe slightly. I've never wavered with my conviction in Allah. I've always been very, very adamant in my faith and my belief and where I stand when it comes to religion. That being said, I'm also very open to growth, and I hope and pray that I am growing and believe, because I could never tell you I believe enough, or I've prayed enough, or I've been grateful enough. So you cannot deny seeing what's going on, and especially witnessing how the men and women and children handle themselves. Yeah, of course. Of course, it's humbled me so much. It's made me want to pray even more. It's made me want to show people, look at what faith does, even despite the worst of circumstances, despite a foot on your neck. I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. The last word, the first and last word to come out of their mouth is Alhamdulillah. How can you not be changed by that? You made me cry.
I'm sorry.
Of course you did.
I'm really, it wasn't my, I'm sorry.
No, bilhaks. I think people, no.
Because it must have, because faith is faith. And then in times of adversity, that's when it gets tested the most.
Absolutely.
And if you're someone who's advocating and talking about the strength of religion and the power of faith, you must have been tested at some point as an individual.
Yeah.
Being Palestinian, it's not, you're human.
Yeah. It's very interesting when everyone in this room has been through a test. I'm sure you've been through the darkest days where you can't even express, because you might feel that no one will genuinely understand. They can empathize, but not necessarily sympathize. And this is a human experience, and it's inevitable, and there's no point in fighting it. And we've all been through things. God knows I've seen the darkest of days, but I would rather just say Alhamdulillah and be so grateful for my darkest of days, because they've gotten me to where I am today. There's just I am not of two minds about it. And I look at what other people go through, and my darkest of days seem heavenly, honestly.
Do you believe that, we come into this world alone in a way because we're born, right? And then we die alone. And in between, we get help along the way. But everything that we go through, because you resonate to what you're saying, no one really knows what you're going through. Yeah. They can somehow understand, but because they haven't exexperienced it, the extent of your pain. Let's try and change the ambiance. So you're obviously now trying to help others, right, as well as yourself. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little about your job and the satisfaction that you get from helping others to try and realize their own potential. Do you learn more about the human spirit and other stories based on what you've seen from their perspective? And do you then take that information, that learning, those insights, and sort of channel them into your own?
Do you mean my influencers, mm-hmm. the talents that I manage? Mm-hmm. I honestly, Alhamdulillah, I've been so blessed. My girls are angels. They're so humble. They're so hardworking. They're so grateful.
Yeah.
Truly, genuinely grateful women. Because I've been in this industry for a while and I've seen some nasty characters. I have seen some ungrateful people, some entitled people, and it's a humbling experience. But it's also it's this such is life. It's how it goes.
And your the influences that you have on your roster, they're all female, right? They're no men. Men are harder to work with.
Yeah.
In what way?
Where
to begin?
I don't know if they're gonna watch this. As
it's
people,
okay. Generalize. You can. It's okay.
Well, they know who they are. Everyone knows who I manage.
Don't generalize. Go specific. Yeah.
They're beautiful people, and they're just as grateful and as hardworking, and came from circumstances where they built themselves up from the ground up, like my girls. But with young men and testosterone and ego and fame, and the girlies coming to you, just being like, "Oh my God, hi."
Yeah.
It goes to their head, and they become a little hard to tame, hard to deal with.
Question I have: men and women, are they equal?
Okay. Bismillah. No. Is every human life is priceless? Yes. Are we equal? No, we can't be. Because who told you women and women are equal? Who told you men and men are equal? Mm-hmm. If you want to talk about a soul and a life, no doubt about it. I'm a Muslim. Even if I wasn't, inshallah, by the grace of God, I just have a speck of consciousness, of a conscious, sorry. But no, men and women aren't equal, because I don't know who lied to you and told you, not you specifically, but that men and men are equal and women are equal. People, it's just, I have a very hard time digesting that a woman for example, in Gaza, who lost her children and still has to care for one child, is equal, the same as, for example, someone who just sits on their butt all day and just expects something to show up to them and hasn't seen a bad day in their life. Have they been dealt different cards? Yes, but we also need to acknowledge that it's just not worth the same. And an Olympian who's worked their whole life to achieve something, I cannot say I am as disciplined as they are. I'm as hardworking, as willful. It's just a different caliber, and that's okay. There are people who will outshine you in this dunya, and that is okay. I think people struggle with, it doesn't mean you're worth nothing. It just means someone has worked harder, is worth more. What do you think?
Men and women aren't equal, and they shouldn't be put together. They should be celebrated for their differences.
Absolutely.
That's how I think. I mean, the problem is now in this day and age, I've got 2 young boys, and they're going to go into a world that I don't know what's going to look like in 15 to 20 years' time, but it terrifies me. And I don't know what the gender sort of situation is going to look like in 15 to 20 years' time. It's literally changing every year. I think men have innate strengths. They are physically stronger. Women are able to bear children. I mean, these are physical differences, right? And there's millions of others, right? But fundamentally, they are different. They're of a different sex. And God, in his infinite brilliance, has given us the best of both worlds in the form of 2 different types of genders. And they should be celebrated. And they work better together as one, rather than trying to be banded together, all men and all women. No, it's man and woman together as the force. And that's why marriage, modern day society or traditional society, has been built on that union. The parents should parent as based on their own strengths. So the kid, when they grows up, they take the best of the mom, they take the best of the dad.
Absolutely.
So
I think it's also doing...
Is that a good answer?
It's a beautiful answer, and I fully agree. I think you're doing yourself and the other person a disservice when you try to just clump everything and everyone into one box, and we're all the same and we're all equal. This is something my father taught me at a young age. He said, even in Islam, we were never required to dress all the same, all look the same. There is a beauty in the differences of us.
Celebrate the differences.
Absolutely. And respect them. I think someone being different than you doesn't necessarily make them better or take away from you. And even if someone is better than you, maybe that is a gift from Allah for you to maybe recognize there's something that you could improve. There is something that you could work on. Or maybe just that entirely is not for me and I can go find what is for me. And when I witness women who have succeeded and are better than me at certain things, not only do I celebrate them and I revere them, but I also love the humbling myself that, you know what, maybe I'm just not good at that, and that is her lane.
Yeah.
Let me go find what my gift is. And the same with men. Trying to make men and women the same is the reason we have such masculine women and such feminine men.
You should watch my episode with Mace Muhammad. It came out a few weeks back, and I talk about someone who in Sri Lanka told me this. They said men should be like suns. They have a purpose. They rise, they go to work, they go to bed. Women are more like moons. They're magical, they're mysterious, they're beautiful. They change, they evolve. And she said the problem with men these days is they stop becoming suns. And the problem with women is that they stop becoming moons. The moons are becoming suns and the suns are becoming moons. Everything's becoming entwined. And, I ask a woman now, and I can ask you the same question. What is a woman in 2025? How do you answer that? Because I've had people who sat where you've sat who lead women empowerment. They can answer the question. What is a woman? I mean, it's simple as that. You don't have to answer it, but
I will answer
I'll go for it then. I'd love to hear your take.
Because I've answered this before on my podcast as well. And I say this even in personal conversations, public conversations, but I have no doubt in my mind about what a woman is. I am a Muslim. I have been told what a woman's role is, where she belongs, her value, what she is capable of, what she is incapable of, and that the world is limitless for her. I have not been waiting 29 years for someone from the West to come define what a woman is. In my world, in our culture, in our traditions, we have such a rich, extensive list of people, books, and stories and allegories that you can go to that will tell you what a man needs to do and what a woman needs to do. And I would bet you my life that if you genuinely look into it, it will add so much value in your life. That depression that you had will go away. That lostness that you had, you will be found. I don't need someone else to tell me what a woman is, but I will tell you right now, it's a woman is a female, a human that can give birth. Nota. Granted, do the organs sometimes not work? Yes, because big pharma, and I'm not even going to go into it. But the organs are there. A woman is a woman and a man is a man. There's no confusion about it. And the confusion needs to stay where it started.
Yeah, I'm with you. Are you ready? Are you ready now to take over the show, Layla? Hey guys, it's me again. Do you get worried about giving a speech or, being on a podcast or being someone that's been told to present in front of their client or even to their boss? A lot of people have anxiety when it comes to public speaking. In fact, 74% of every one of us is terrified about the idea of standing in front of other people and trying to convince them of something. The good news is there's a lot of people that can help. In fact, I've launched my own training program, which I'm calling Master Pitch, which combines my 20 years of corporate background running big businesses, dealing with clients, as well as my own personal passion point of presenting in front of large audiences or being on camera, or in fact, even being on the inside track. So if you want to improve things like your tone, your pace, your storytelling narrative, and how to structure properly, as well as to understand your audience better and to drive real impact, I'm sure I can help you out. Whether individual level or at a corporate level, my Master Pitch training program can definitely make you a better public speaker. So drop me an email at info@lucaallam.com or check out my website, lucaallam.com, if you want to find out more information, more details. Right, let's get back to the show. So I've got a bag, right? In the bag, yeah, take the bag. In the bag, there's a bunch of balls. They're written on golf balls. Read out the question out loud and let's me and you have a debate about it. Yeah.
Green's my favorite color.
Yeah, look at that.
I like
You like
this
my branding?
Logo. I do like your branding.
Thank you very much. It's all about coffee cups and having conversation.
I like it a lot.
And uncovering insights. That's what we do.
Yeah. Okay, bismillah.
And we'll debate.
It's actually funny. Religion, the world's #1 uniter or divider?
Religion, is it the world's #1 uniter or divider?
Religion at its core, at its essence, how it is meant to be practiced, the #1 uniter, no doubt about it. People who practice religion, the #1 divider.
Isn't religion man-made? The term religion, doesn't that come from humans?
All terms are man-made, but we have to. But I think that would show you the fragileness and the incapability of the human soul.
Yeah.
Is that we need to put something into words and we need to logicalize things just to try to attempt to understand it. But this is why in the spiritual beings, even if you go into Buddhism, Hinduism, the Abrahamic religions, they talk about the souls understanding each other. They talk about a silent language, and that's a different level of consciousness, of enlightenment. So
do you think more wars are fought over religion or over different
It's not over religion. Those are fascists and radicals that, if you study history, you understand that all wars are due to power and money. It was never about religion. They hide behind the cloak of religion.
Correct.
They hide behind the cloak of certain political issues or human aspirations or the humanity, but it's never that. It is always for power and for greed. Always.
And they use the banner of religion as the reason.
Yes.
Like the Crusades.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the most famous reasons, that they used religion to go in and basically, well, the Christians wanted to go and turn Jerusalem into a Christian bastion and not a Muslim.
If you watch the movie, sorry to interrupt you, The Kingdom of Heaven. And
it's a great movie.
It is. And it's because it's one of the few movies that actually depict historical accuracy. Salah ad-Din was a beautiful ruler. The Christians at that time, and I use the word Christian liberally here because I don't think those are real Christians. I don't think they embodied what Christianity...
No, they're being told what to do.
Exactly.
They're being told who to fight for. But that's kind of, the word religion is a very dangerous word because it can unite a certain type of idea, get behind a certain idea to go out and fight, create terror, pain, whatever, based on a belief that this is what's good, what's right. And it's been completely misused.
I agree.
The essence of religion is totally different to that. I love the ending of that movie, Salah ad-Din, when they ask him, what does Jerusalem mean to you? And he says, nothing. And then he turns around, he says, everything. Beautiful ending. I love that.
It's a beautiful movie. The actor is phenomenal. And there's also, if you've ever watched Lion of the Desert, the message, it's about the Prophet ﷺ. Mustafa Akkad was the director. And Mustafa Akkad had said, if you leave me to create my movies, I will make sure the whole world falls in love with Islam. Because he showed the true essence of Islam in his movies, the same way there are people in America that are creating movies showing the true essence of Christianity. And if you see how similar we are, one in the same, truly.
Yeah. Even within Islam, how much division is there within Islam?
A lot.
And it's effectively under the same umbrella of religion.
Yeah. I'll post a quote from Imam Ali, because argue with me all you want in the comments. Imam Ali is a phenomenal man, one of the best and one of the most beautiful Muslim figures we have after the Prophet ﷺ. And then people will start commenting, oh, you're a Shia, I'm going to unfollow. No, I'm not. I'm not, but good riddance, because why are you dividing? That's what you focused on. You don't want to focus on what a powerful man he was, on the message that he delivers. I'll quote a Christian and they'll be like, oh, that's not the genuine religion. You're talking about someone. No, I'm talking about a genuine man who brought a lot of good into this world. Just focus on the quote that he said.
I think, look, men have always wanted to fight other men for different reasons. Go back to the caveman days, right? The little tribal village will go and attack the other tribal village because they want to steal their crops or whatever the case is. Or maybe there's a beautiful cave woman, who knows? So there's always been fights about land, territory, defense, protection, security, safety. But like I said before, religion for me the word has been so misused and misguided that has led people into, centuries of wars, deaths, under the banner of we're doing this in God's name. God never advocates going out and killing everyone, does he?
I'll challenge.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are absolutely correct, but I'll challenge you. Let's eradicate religion from the conversation. And this is the first time I've ever done this. But let's eradicate religion from the world. Let's assume we live in a world where religion didn't exist. Would people still go to war?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you're saying exactly my point. They've used the word religion to fight their wars under the banner of religion, which is wrong. They want to create war anyway, regardless. But it's such a unifying word. It's such a great propaganda tool that it can unify nations against each other.
Because people need to believe in something. People have to believe in something. I've said this many a time and I'll reiterate it once again. You need to be very, very careful what you worship. And people will think worship strictly is under a religious umbrella, but it's not. Worship is what you focus your attention, your time, your energy, your life on. If you do not worship Allah, you worship something else. If you do not worship God, you either worship time, money, your partner, God forbid, status, fame, social media. You worship something. So people need to worship something. And unfortunately...
it fills a hole. Yeah, I'm with you. Should we do another ball?
Ooh. Can someone's soul be bought one click at a time? Do you mean social media? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think people will sell their soul for way less than a click.
Sad, isn't it?
It is. It's very sad. We live in a day and age where morals mean nothing. Discipline means nothing. The fear of Allah means nothing. It's one of the things I am very keen on when I meet someone, or if I'm going to allow someone to be in my life. Do they fear God? Just in the sense of they don't move in this dunya haphazardly. They are aware of what their actions and their words and their behavior contributes to society and to the world. There's an ayah in the Quran that says, إِنَّمَا الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبَهُم, which means it is those who at the remembrance of Allah, their hearts tremble. And not in the fear of, oh, I'm going to burn in Jahannam, but just in the sense of, there is something I need to answer to. There is someone at the end of all of this, I will have to be held accountable. So that means a lot to me. And then I'll see people, all of that is nothing. Just give me the fame. Just give me the money. Just give me the status. Just give me the views. Just give me the going viral. And it is pathetic. I'm gonna be very harsh about it. I think it's pathetic, and I think it's a miserable existence, and I don't feel sad for these people.
Don't you think they get found out at some point? Those people. At some point, the cosmic karma.
But I think we all know.
Mm-hmm.
We all could point at a celebrity or two or an influencer or two that you can clearly see, does it for the money or does it for the numbers? Binhum bin rabhum. What can I do? But
what percentage of influencers out there would sell their soul for a click or for revenue, or for fame?
Most.
80%?
99%.
Really?
Yeah. Of course.
That's a sad indictment on our times.
Yeah.
Is that getting worse with each generation, or does it get better with each generation?
Worse with each generation.
Okay.
But that being said, no, I know you're worried about your boys, Allah yahmiyon. That being said, I told you when I did my podcast, there's a hunger. I think there people are waking up.
Yeah.
Because when the pendulum swings so far towards evil and demonic, it has to swing the other way.
Yeah.
And as cliche as it is, good will always win.
Look, I've had some great guests on the show, and they've asked me, why am I doing this? And look, I've only been doing this a relatively short period of time, but at its essence, it's about putting good into the world, and it's about being yourself to help inspire other people to also follow their dreams and to get good information, good insights that can help change people's lives, even in the smallest perspective. Even if one thing that you say resonates with one person one time, you've done at least something good. That's it. That's all you got to do. And the minute you stop being yourself, I've got a couple of friends who watch me and they're like, Luca, I'm just so grateful you haven't changed from who you are. And the minute I do that, and my wife will keep me on the straight and narrow, a couple of slaps. The minute I do that, I know I'm in it for the wrong reasons. So I'm with you. And that's why I wrote the question, because I see it all the time. I see people willing to go to unbelievable lengths for a bit of short-term fame, or to get an additional 1,000 likes or 10,000 views or 1 million engagements. So it's a really sad indictment on our time. But I hope that with the use of media like podcasts, yes, you're going to enter a lot of bad in there, but you might have some good also. And we just got to hope that the good wins.
Absolutely. I agree.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
There you go. Huh?
Am I getting another one?
Yeah. Keep going. We're going to finish them.
Oh, okay. I saw my dad. Okay. The one question you would never ask your dad on your show. I'd ask him anything.
No, there's got to be
nothing.
There's got to be something.
There is nothing I do not speak to my father about.
Okay, imagine I'm your dad right now. I'm your dad right now.
Yeah.
So you'd ask me anything?
Anything. I've spoken to my dad about everything under the sun. Everything under the sun.
3-letter word that starts with S.
I have spoken to my father about that, yes.
Isn't that weird?
It's...
Isn't that a bit creepy?
It used to be very uncomfortable at first.
What does he say? I'm sorry, I would love to know. It's when he's talking to his daughter.
It used to be very uncomfortable at first, because we're not talking about like, oh, dad, hey, I'm gonna go do. Absolutely not. I'm a very good Muslim girl. But it's about learning right from wrong. And how are you going to teach me right from wrong if you cannot talk to me about right and wrong? And right and wrong falls under everything. It falls under sex. It falls under religion. It falls under your relationship with your girlfriends. It falls under your relationship with your siblings. You need to teach me right from wrong. Then you need to be unapologetic with what you speak to me and what you teach me. And there cannot be any confusion, because look at the people who are confused. Therein lies the gray area of mistakes. There is no confusion in my house. My father will tell me, this is okay. This is not okay. This is what you can do. This is what you cannot do. But also at the end of the day, Layla, inti hurra. This is your life, you know? But I will never tell you, oh, I didn't know. My parents didn't talk to me about it. My parents are very clear with what they raised me to do and not do. Because at the end of their days, they'll be like, I told you. Ana allamtek. I can go to sleep, or I can, inshallah, when God takes me, really go at peace knowing that I told you what is right and what is wrong from what I knew.
Conscience.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about getting your mum on the show?
Oh, she's coming on Monday night and she will be on my show because my studio's now at home. So
Very nice. What role does your mum play in your life? Because obviously your dad has a massive role, right? But what role does your mum play?
ooh. My mom attested the fiber of my being, I'll tell you that right now. My mom humbled me. She had a very, very rough upbringing. Not financially, just in the sense of the relationship with her parents. They are not the easiest people. She went through a lot. And as I get older and as I become a woman and as I see how your partner affects your life, your children, all of that, things that I never would have understood as a teenager. I had to become a woman to understand. I'm so grateful for her. She's been through a lot. She's a tough cookie, I'll tell you that. My brother calls my mom for everything, which I find very strange, but I understand why. She has just wisdoms of nuggets.
Yeah.
Nuggets of wisdom. What did I say?
Wisdom of nuggets. I've heard of that.
Wisdom of nuggets.
Kind of. Do you think it's true the saying that daughters and fathers are closer than mum and sons? The special bond that you would have with your father?
If I'm speaking from a personal perspective, yeah. Because I have a great relationship with my father, but I went out of my way to get this relationship with my dad. People always on my podcast will comment, oh, you're so heartless sometimes because not everyone grew up with a dad like yours. My dad we did not have a great relationship like this. I did not have a good relationship with my parents growing up. It was horrendous. And it was almost to the point where it was irreversible. But I went out of my way to better my relationship with my parents. And by the grace of God, things just changed because God can change hearts and minds. But my sister, for example, khalas, you know? But it depends. I think...
Let's say you meet a guy. Great guy, right? Is he going to have a lot of the characteristics that your dad has?
I hope not.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
No, I hope my husband is nothing like my father.
Okay, so what are you looking for? I might know him.
Are you playing matchmaker now?
I had someone on my show who helps with matchmaking.
I'm looking for I used to have a list, and I used to have a list, but now I'll tell you I'm looking for the best. Gone? I'm looking for the best Allah has to provide for me. That is it. I want what God has for me, because if I try to plan and I try to dictate, I failed every time. God is the best of planners.
Okay, but not your dad. You don't want your dad. You don't want someone like your dad.
No. My dad belongs to the streets.
Okay. Like Eminem style streets?
No. Like Cardi B streets.
Okay. Interesting.
My dad I always tell him, like, even sometimes I'll speak to him, I'll be like, how's my favorite, how's my favorite little, minx?
Yeah.
My dad belongs to the streets. Honestly, truly, true story.
Wow.
We need to go through these. Bismillah. If Palestine could say one word to the world, what would it be?
Just one word.
Alhamdulillah.
Really?
Yeah.
What does Alhamdulillah mean?
It means, the literal translation is praise be to the Almighty, but it basically means alhamdu, shukr, the gratitude to Allah.
So why are you showing gratitude? Why that word?
Because it doesn't matter my feelings towards something. If I'm upset or I'm heartbroken or I'm devastated or I'm shattered, that needs to come secondary to what God has decreed needs to happen. Because when you let go and you just say Alhamdulillah, everything else follows suit. And also Palestinians might be the people on the top of the list in this world who understand the most that this dunya is temporary. It is a blip in time. It means nothing. Sure, suffer for 70 years. Sure, I lost my children. Alhamdulillah, because later is what matters. This is a train stop in time. It is nothing. They understand that and they embody that more than anyone I've ever seen in my life. And that's why the first word out of their mouth is always Alhamdulillah.
It's amazing. Honestly, I wasn't expecting that.
What were you expecting?
I don't know. It's a difficult one because there's for me, when I watch the news, I just get angry. Then I've gone to the sadness phase, and I've gone into a kind of like disbelief phase. I've kind of gone back full circle, back into the anger phase.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't know. I would want the world to know exactly what I think of them, which is nothing really. The whole world's been watching, and very little has been done till now. At the point of shooting, right? We don't know,
Yeah.
So it's unbelievable. And by the way, just for you to know, I've consciously not talked about Gaza, Palestine that much on any of my episodes, but I haven't had a Palestinian on the show before. And honestly, it would be wrong for me not to mention it, because not paying it service is a disservice to the Palestinians.
I really appreciate that. I don't bring it up as much because people will message, why don't you talk about it? Why don't you talk about it? But Alhamdulillah, Allah knows what's in our hearts. I do my best between myself, and I don't need to publicly announce the goodness that I'm trying to do. But I appreciate it. Thank you. On the question, I won't go into the story, but the Prophet ﷺ was speaking to a woman that was mourning the loss of her child, and she was hysterical. Rightfully so. I can't even imagine what that feels like. But when she was hysterical and then she apologized to him after for her hysteria, he told her, إِنَّمَا الصَّبْرُ عِنْدَ الصَّدْمَةِ الْأُولَى, which means patience is at the initial shock, and it's a hard concept to grasp. It really is. But patience is when the first thing happens, Alhamdulillah. And they've been through the worst of the worst, the Palestinians.
Yeah.
And they embody that. It's phenomenal. It's insane to witness. All right, moving on. Pay-to-play platforms price out non-premium producers. What?
I love it. Right. This is okay. So I like having fun with words.
Is this English?
Okay. I love alliterations. Alliterations using the same consonant sounding. Yeah.
I had a girl that was stuck at 180,000 followers for about a year and a half, 2 years. I had one sit down with her. Within a month, she jumped up to 300,000, and we're growing by the day. She's one of my girls now. I had another girl that was stuck at 34,000 for years. Okay, and then she saw the content that I was doing, and she's like, I want to kind of do something similar in my field of expertise. I was like, you go into a studio, you do 1, 2, 3. She posted one of her first videos, got 12 million views. If there's one thing I know how to do, it's make people go viral on social media, and you don't need that much money to do it.
And that's the clip.
And then number 2 is I've also, because you're saying there's a lot of people that want to do this and all of that. That's I love how much you care, but I will also add one thing. I've had people who have had podcasts for years, and then they've sat with me because by the grace of God, I've gone viral very quickly. And they'll be like, they're disheartened, and they've paid a lot of money, and they also can't afford to constantly book studios because they work a full-time job and they're on a limited salary and all of that. And I will sit with them and I will tell them exactly what they need to do. And I see defensiveness, and I see no openness, despite the fact that they asked me, like, what do I do? But then they're just so, because they think
they're very rigid.
They are, because they think I've insulted them or I've taken away from all the hard work that they've done. No, I appreciate everything you've tried to do, but it's Einstein's definition of insanity. You're repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and it's just not working. Just switch a little. Let's switch gears. Maybe try this. The essence of what you're doing is great, but you need to give the people what they want without losing yourself. And they haven't done it, and they're still stuck where they are.
So that's the magic dust. So to answer the question then, it's expensive to create content consistently, potentially, especially for high quality, but it doesn't necessarily need to be expensive to pay to play on platforms.
The producers don't need to pay to play on platforms.
Yes, there's a tongue twister right there. I love it.
Yes.
Next ball.
Yes. Is having a viral ticket worth the mental cost? No.
Okay, next ball.
No.
So there's a lot of people that go viral overnight, right? I hate to say it, but the Haq Tour girl, right?
Ya Allah.
I knew you were going to do that.
Ya
but
Allah.
It's like, that was a global viral piece of content that it was everywhere, and it was integrating itself into so many different types of social pop culture. But then dealing with that immediate fame, that comes at a massive cost, right? It must do. How can you be prepared to go viral? It must come at a massive mental price.
Is it worth the mental cost? No, it does come at a huge price, of course, especially when you find yourself not rooted in who you are at your core. If you don't have a group of people around you that will really keep you centered and focused and humble, you will get lost in the sauce, for sure. Yeah. That's why I advocate for me, the connection that I have to my God is because you could throw me anywhere in the world. I'll make it. You could throw any curveball my way, I'll survive it. Because I know who I am and I am centered in my belief and what anchors me. So anything could happen and I'll make sure I'm okay because I'll lean on Allah.
You have amazing self-belief. And I know it comes from your belief in God. I'm with you, but you know, you're radiating self-belief, self-confidence, strength of character. It's coming off you in waves.
Controversy or consistency, what gets you further? I'm not allowed to say both.
No.
Do you want to define here what you mean by controversy and consistency? What
So
gets you
consistency of producing good content over a long period of time. Controversy is, you know, just you say something, do something that's a little bit, you know, out there.
To answer the question, what will get you further? Controversy, unfortunately. It's controversial now to say.
Yeah.
For example, something like there's a genocide happening in Palestine, or for example, men can't give birth. That's very controversial to say nowadays.
Yeah.
It's wild. So even in my most viral videos are if I say something like, a real man does what he says he's going to do. It's such a simple statement. In essence, we should not disagree on this statement, but you'll have the what abouts. What about the women? I'm not talking about the women. The women, we talk a lot and we say enough. I'm right now talking about Timmy, what defines a real man, in essence, is he does what he says he's going to do. That 1 million views in a day.
It's a sun. He rises, and it has a purpose.
But controversy, people love controversy. People love having their demons triggered. People love being social media trolls. It gets them going, gets the juices flowing.
So they'll sell their soul one click at a time, and controversy sells. Sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Any more balls left?
Yeah.
I think there's one. Is there one left?
Wait.
One or two? How many left?
واحدة.
All right.
آخر واحدة. يلا.
Okay, go for it.
Bismillah. Are you ready?
I am more than ready.
Okay. Should social media platforms have a minimum age?
So big news came out of Australia in 2024 saying that it'll be illegal for anyone under 16 to be on social media.
I saw that and it's unfortunate that we have to reach this stage, but I'm leaning towards, people of a certain age shouldn't be on social media. Especially if you want to go from a religious point of view and a spiritual point of view, there's a reason if you put your children around horses, wallahi, they will communicate. It's a miracle to witness. The energy, they just read each other. It's the souls are connected. They say command that children can see things that we can't see, like the jinnis and the spirits that live here. That's why you'll see them talk to something. They'll talk to the air. But subhanallah, there's just this power. So when you're feeding them, when you go on Instagram, if you create a new page right now, the first two options you get pitched to follow are Taylor Swift and Beyonce. So one who just cries about being a victim and boys, and the other one who's shaking her butt on social media telling you single ladies when she goes home to her cheating husband. But stay single in the clubs. And these are the first options they give your children. That's insane. And then also, a study came out by Meta itself, I need to find it, of how when you, and I'm sorry if I'm calling you guys out, I don't know if you post your kids on social media, but you're not that public on Instagram, are you?
No, not really.
Okay, God bless. Of when you post your kids on social media, you have a 500% chance, I think the number was, of it going viral and getting 500% more views because there are creeps and pedophiles and weirdos that are watching your children. Why do you suddenly have a video with 20,000 saves when it's children? Who are these 20,000 people? Do you know what I mean? So when you know all of these statistics and all these facts and you want to keep your kids online, couldn't be me.
You just scared the hell out of me.
Yeah. Honestly, we live in a day and age where, protect your children. You need to teach them enough. And this is inshallah what I will do one day when I'm blessed with children. Teach them enough to know, but also trust them enough that they don't belong.
When I grew up, I didn't have any of this stuff, right? It was only until I got to university when things started to become a little bit more prominent. And even mobile phones, I didn't have a mobile phone until I was 16, 17. So if you wanted to meet your friend, you'd call them on the landline. You'd end up speaking to the mum or the dad, going, hi, Mrs. Thompson, can I speak to John, please? So you speak to John, he said, John, I'm going to meet you at the cinema at 3:30, okay? And you just have to be there at 3:30.
Yeah.
If you're late, you're late. You're not late. So the generation now, I spoke to a friend of mine who gave their kid a phone at 7. And I'm thinking, and then you start thinking, because the friends that they have at school also have a phone at 7. So if they don't, they start getting, they're feeling like they could get bullied. Or they feel they're inadequate because why are they the only ones who doesn't have a mobile phone? And this peer pressure that we've created now for technology, the demand for it amongst young people is astonishing. So I don't have the answers myself, but in a few years, my eldest is 3. At some point, I'm going to have the conversation with my wife is when are we going to introduce social media and mobile phones? And I'm terrified of that. I don't know where it's going, but I just hope that smart enough people, and I really support what Australia are doing. I don't know how they're going to enforce it. Saying it is one thing, enforcing it is something else.
Absolutely.
But at least the intention is there to try and say, guys, let's go back to common sense a little bit. Let kids just be kids without being succumbed to being violated in all kinds of ways online.
Absolutely. I think also kids need to go back to scrape knees and learning how to ride a bike and not being worried about. Also, social media bullying is insane. The bullying online, you have more access to bullying online than you do in person. And this concept of if my kid doesn't have a phone at school, they're going to bully him. Bully him. I don't care. Bully my kid. He doesn't have a phone. These are things, bullies will be in school regardless. But this concept, this phone thing is to me, it's not a tricky one. The mere fact of there are pedophiles online is enough for me to be like, my kid is not having a phone. Come hell or high water. اضرب راسك بألف حيطة. I don't care. روح العب برا. It just, no, there are certain things where you cannot waver in because if there's even a 1% risk of something, God forbid, happening, it's just not worth it. That being said, there are phones with just 3 contacts. Like you can call me, your mom, your brother. خلصت. You know?
Thank you. Well, I have 1 ball left.
What?
It's here.
A curveball, if you will.
It's a curveball. It's a blank ball. There's nothing on it.
Okay.
I'm giving you this ball. You can ask anything you want, or you can say anything you want. Anything that you really wanted to say or ask on the show that you haven't already. So have a think about it.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Relatively recently, funnily enough, because it's fresh, not because it's the best necessarily, but it's one that came to mind. Being consistent. It's a marathon. Doing what I'm doing now, having people over, creating content, trying to entertain people, inform people. It's not something that's going to be like that overnight success. It's going to take time. Like with any career, you start at the bottom and you have to work your way up. So the best advice I've got from multiple people in the industry is, Luca, you're doing great, but it's not a sprint. It is a marathon. And just keep being consistent and keep being you. And I think that's something that I can take with me.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Layla, you've been fantastic. It's been great having you on.
Thank you for having me.
Conversations with Luca. How's that for a little? No? Okay, you didn't like that. Please like and subscribe her channel, Conversations with My Conscience. It's fantastic. She's a wonderful person. It's been great having you on.
Thank you for having me. This was lovely. This was one of the best experiences I've had for sure.
There you go. And then you can also, of course, like and subscribe to my channel, The Inside Track. Why don't you say it on that camera? Say, please like and subscribe to Luca on The Inside Track with Luca Allam.
It's The Insight Track. Okay.
That's it. You're going to end the show with this, so no pressure.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I just had one of the most invigorating conversations in a very long time. And if you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Luca's page called The Insight Track.
Nailed it. And on that note, there we go. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.